Hello and welcome to the live show. I'm Jeff Gould, America's Storyteller. Well, this is what we know. You have a lot of choices, and we know that sometimes many of those choices are somehow frustrating. Either it's all AI generated, just a bunch of junk, or it's stuff you got to pay too much for, or whatever. This is different. This is a live show we do every Monday. It's just a conversation between ordinary people. You're invited to send comments in on the chat. You're invited to like and subscribe. If you have interview ideas, we want to hear them because that's important. It is no small thing that we are now part of the largest media group in the world. That's right. YouTube is now more watched than anything else. And I don't think that's a coincidence. Shortly after we launched this live show, now YouTube is the most watched medium. I don't think it's coincidental. In fact, since we've started this, our audience has increased almost fivefold. And this brings up an opportunity that I just want to talk with you right now. Before I take a sip of this refreshing and somewhat anonymous beverage, boy, that's very refreshing. I want to remind you that you can contact me through the website, ilikethatstory.com. And whatever you care to donate to the show in terms of product placement will go a long way to seeing just how your business can grow. Man, that is refreshing. That is so thirst quenching. It's just so wonderfully delicious. I can't hardly describe it, but I'll do a better job if you're able to help me describe it for you. And remember, everything has a price, including this show. No, I don't think I'd sell out for anything, but you can try. I'm open to temptation. Anyway, welcome to the show today. And the very first thing I want to do is, we break this into chapters so you're able to watch the whole extended show live. We then record it and upload it, and you can watch the whole thing recorded live. And then we cut it into pieces, or I like to call them chapters. And let's go to chapter 1, shall we? It's about the art of conversation. I'm your Jeff I master, Jeff Gould, giving you some information on what I've learned about how people converse. And in fact, there I am right there, Jeff I master, Jeff Gould. And I'm going to bring in Dwayne on part of this. But before I do this, I want to set the table and just talk a little bit about what we have seen in the world of conversation. I've got a bunch of grandkids, and I'm watching them over the weekend. I've got a 3-year-old little girl. She's a sweetheart. She's talking at the table, and somebody else says something, and she goes, "Shh, be quiet. I'm talking." Anybody else try doing it? She said, "Shh, be quiet. I'm talking." And I have 2 grandsons who like to do this. They like to negotiate, wheedle, and argue. Every conversation is about, "Hey, can I? Hey, can I?" And then they start arguing back and forth. It's green, it's red, it's green, it's red, it's green, and off they go into the sunset. And I've decided that is kind of the way people are for the rest of their lives. It seems like so much of conversation, Dwayne, is people either waiting for the other person to stop talking so they can get their aura. Now, they don't do this quite. Shh, it's my turn to talk. They just stop paying attention to what they're saying, and they wait for a gap in the conversation, and then they charge in. Or it's about an argument. Like, it doesn't matter if you say, "I guess it's going to get to a high of 65 degrees today." They're going to be the ones that say, "I think it's 64. And they're just looking for some way to correct you. And it's like all of their conversation is either an argument or a correction. And the other ones is sometimes just plain old bloviating. Like, the purpose of the conversation is you are the audience and rapt attention, and they talk on and on and on and on, which it almost looks like I'm doing right now. So here is what I'd like to do. Now, Dwayne Bickett, I'm going to bring in a topic. And the goal is we cannot argue. We're only trying to figure out where the other person stands. And by the time we're done, can we enjoy the conversation and learn a little bit about the other person and maybe the topic as a whole. So, this will be an interesting conversation. And our topic is today sports. All right. High school sports, college sports, professional sports. So, Dwayne, we see our first graphic here, high school sports. And the question is there a problem and what is the problem? Here we have, we have money exchanging hands, kids going off to school. We have repetitive injuries. We have the cost of travel. Is there a problem, Dwayne, in high school sports, in your opinion?
By and large, I don't think there is. Maybe in the football arena, just because the size of the kids, the amount of strength training, the amount of time spent in the weight room, that's the injury part that you were talking about and the rehab and all those kind of things. It's a very short season. If you're looking for a college scholarship and you get hurt in practice because somebody a lot bigger than you has decided they're going to run right down the middle of you, that's about the only thing I can see is how do we keep them safe? How do we keep them, moving to the path to college if that's the course they decide to take?
I call it the ligament lottery. I mean, what are the odds of you making it through with both knees intact? And I have not seen, Dwayne, I haven't seen that really getting better. Am I wrong about that? It seems like injuries are not getting better despite all the improvements in medicine.
That part I would agree with. And I think part of it is because the game, even at the high school level, moves so fast compared to back when I was a high school kid. But I've never been accused of being fast. Um, Once I get the train rolling, it rolls pretty good, but I've never been accused of running somebody down. Whereas now they're faster, they're bigger, they're stronger. The other thing we didn't talk about is, and I know that they bring a lot of that into the coaching camps too, is you don't want your kids turned into headhunters because if you're a big, strong kid, you can hurt somebody if you want to hit them in the right spot at the right time. So, I think a lot of that comes to the education, not only of the kids to be conditioned to take care of themselves, take care of their teammates, but it also falls upon the coaching staff and the trainers and that says, we're going to go out there and we're going to play clean. We're going to do it right. We're going to engage in sportsmanship.
Right. And now there's not as many referees because they don't want to get yelled at by parents.
That's a fact.
I would, I was, I was at a wrestling tournament over the weekend, and it was amateur, so it was not involved. These were affiliated with schools, but they weren't wrestling for their schools. They were wrestling as individuals, and they came from all over the state. And it was, I mean, we're talking kids who are under the age of 8 wrestling, and the amount of first off, it was great. It was great for the city we're in because the amount of dollars spent in the local restaurants and hotels for these kids was big. And at the same time, as I'm listening to parents talk, it was kind of a sacrifice for them because they do have to travel a lot if their kid wants to be in sports. And it seems like the days of amateur athletics is over. And I'm not talking about the kids not getting paid anything. I'm talking about the cost of a parent having a kid in any of these things, not just the equipment, but the training and the camps and the special teams and the travel.
And gas at
Do you
$3.39 a
have
gallon to
any?
get there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, has anybody talked about any sort of solution to that? Have you heard any creative ideas on that? Or are people just going, just the way it is?
And you kind of hate to say it, but you could have a really, really talented athlete that's a great soccer player, baseball player, basketball player. I know my one grandson plays, and it's called club ball, and it's not affiliated with a grade school or a middle school, high school. It's actually kids that come together. They got a sponsor for uniforms and that kind of thing. And most of their uh, participation is weekends in tournaments and that kind of thing. And they're all over eastern South Dakota. So some of them are day trips, some of them are overnight trips, some of them are a couple days out. And unfortunately, that does weed out some kids that could be some pretty good athletes, but just cannot afford, to not only do that travel schedule, because a lot of those tournaments start on Fridays. So that becomes a big sacrifice on the parents to not only take that time off, but if you've got other kids and mom and dad are both going, that probably means you're loading all those kids into the car or the SUV and eating in restaurants and sleeping in hotels. It becomes a major expense.
Mm-hmm. And the parents can't help but talk about it, and it filters back to the kid, and now the kid feels this pressure. I mean, like you're a 10-year-old kid, you're a 12-year-old kid, and all of a sudden the entire family is riding on your shoulders. We had to drive 300 miles to a tournament, and we lost, or he didn't play well, or she didn't play well, and the kid feels that. I mean, they can't help but feel that. I mean, I I was at a travel conference, and they said to us that tourism is a huge moneymaker, and I think that's true for every state. And I'm asking myself the question, if there is some sort of a state tax incentive that would encourage people to set up tournaments within the boundaries of their state to keep some of these traveling teams from traveling so many miles, that would lower the cost of the travel for the families and keep revenue in the given state. And I know people would say, well, that means that my kid is super talented, and that means he won't be able to go to these big city tournaments. It isn't eliminating that, but it's maybe offering something for the family that says, hey, let's be honest. My kid's just doing it for fun. He or she's never going to play professional sports. That's not the goal. I don't even think they're going to be getting any college scholarships. I don't want to have to spend thousands if I can get away with spending hundreds or even less than hundreds.
Well, I think Sioux Falls, and I don't know for sure about all the surrounding communities, but I know Rapid City's got a very good baseball system, softball system, girls fast pitch, boys fast and slow pitch, all the way up to men's leagues where it's strictly confined to Sioux Falls teams. So if you're a player for fun, I think, and I don't know if they still call it that, but they actually got a league that's a beer ball league where, yeah, you bring your cooler with you to play softball. You're not going to get a scholarship at that point because, you get hurt, you can't work. But, there is that opportunity in a lot of the bigger towns where you can play that city league and not have to do that travel. But, when you say to leave that all in state, one of the biggest revenue generators of the summer is the ring neck fast pitch girls softball tournament. And there's teams from Indiana, Ohio,
I'm not
Kansas.
talking about. They're welcome to come to our state. I just don't want them to leave our state.
Yeah.
Let's get our priorities straight here.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is a nationwide issue. It's not just any town. That every town kind of has this. And my questions are this. And I think it has to start with the conversations. And I would say the conversation is this. For a child under the age of, I'll say 14, it's really about playing as many different sports and activities as you want and just getting out there and having fun and exercising. And then at that particular time, somebody like a scout will say, you have the skills. We will then allow you to be in this league. And, if you want to get through the back door, whatever, but we're trying to help kids realize that, you can pick this with any activity. Let's pick theater, for example. Every kid thinks they're going to go to Broadway. Okay. You know what? You know what Broadway is? Hard. because you have to sing like an angel, dance like, whatever, and act at the same time. You have to be a triple threat. And that is, to dance that well is 1 out of 10,000. To act that well is 1 out of 10,000. To sing that well is 1 out of 10,000. So that makes you one out of, I don't know, is that 1 out of 10 million? I mean, it's not easy to do. And I feel like we're taking away some of the enjoyment of the activity, because it's fun to play a game. I mean, if your team plays on a given night and you play well and you win, it doesn't matter if you don't play professional sports later on. You learn some specific things that were important to you. So anyway, that is on the high school level. And I'm really interested in the comment section. I'm really interested in people who'd like to talk on this issue, because I think it's worth talking about, because I know that parents are talking about it and they don't really have a solution either. They just have this problem, is that this is expensive. And I don't even know if my kid likes it, but what are we going to do? Now, let's pull up the graphic. College sports. Now we're getting even more money is involved. NIL money, transfer portal, and regulations. I mean, Dwayne, what do you see the problems are in college sports?
The biggest thing I've seen lately, and I guess I kind of, I'm not ambivalent about it. I see both sides, but paying college athletes to play, and it's become bigger. It's become more lucrative, let's say. And I think on the downside, it takes the amateur status away from college athletes and puts them almost in the professional realm. But the upside is the same thing we talked about in high school sports. The players are bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. The injuries are more, they're more catastrophic at any level now than they used to be. So, should a kid that is very good at football or field hockey or soccer or any of those things be able to exhibit that skill and still come away with something, also with the possibility that that career could end in college without ever seeing, what people are going to call the big payday by going into professional sports. So, I don't have a horse in this race. So, I see it as both sides. But anytime there's that large of money being involved, then we start seeing the betting. We see are we going to throw the game because of money? I don't know what the answer is, because at one point you're trying to monetize your skill, but at the other side, it's really taken away from, I think, what the original purpose was of athletics.
Right. Well, think about that. The purpose of going to college used to be to go to college to learn a college education. And now it seems like the tail is wagging the dog. The purpose of the college is to promote the sport that the college is known for sporting. I would say this, and I've never heard it talked about. It surprises me. I know that players should get paid. I agree with that. But I don't think they should get paid everything. For example, if you're a great athlete, you can go bound around in a parking lot outside and see how many people come to see you. And not many, because you're one person in a parking lot. However, if you go to a school and a stadium, you are basically an employee of the sport and the school and the team. Their name's on the front of the jersey, your name's on the back. I absolutely see halvesies. I absolutely see
Mm-hmm.
whatever you get, half of the money goes to the school, and the school uses that money to pay for facilities. And I would certainly hope it would go to pay for other students who go to that school, because tuitions are really expensive. And also for that reason, when the school takes half your money, They also give you a legal aid and a person who's writing up the contracts, so you're not getting taken advantage of by whatever, right? So congratulations, Jimmy, you're part of this school, and here's our legal advisor. They're taking this money, they're putting it in this and this and this. It's for you. Your parents can't steal it. Nobody else can. This is for you. Other things, and at the very least, you're going to get a college education out of this deal. I absolutely think that should happen. And then to the point of the free for all that is name, image, license, and you just say, wow, if I was, let's say Bickett Construction was a multi-billion-dollar, organization. I should ask, is it?
No, we haven't quite got there yet.
Okay, all right. Well, okay. So let's just say it makes it someday. And your alma mater comes up to you and says, "Hey, Dwayne, we can get this kid out of high school to play for us for 1 year. All we need is $3 million." And you're going to say, "How? What? Where is my value in that? What on earth makes you think giving $3 million? I mean, I love my school, but what are you doing? How in the world is that a good investment for me?" You're not saying his whole career. No, no, no. We can only get him on for 1 year because he can transfer. Okay, so it's like this big toilet of money that's being flushed into, and I can't see the end of it. I mean, there are some people who are very, 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 very wealthy. I'll pick Nike, for example. You could argue that it would make sense for Nike to do this because their business is selling athletic wear. So you could say, okay, I get it. If I give $10 million to Oregon, I could probably come back around and sell that much more in tennis shoes. That's probably the case. But the other stuff, it is just a stretch. And I, I don't care. I don't know what to do about it. You talked about gambling. I am absolutely certain that at some time, and it's probably going to be in the not too distant future, a kid who learned to gamble on online betting because you can when he was like 13 is going to become an addict, and then he's going to gamble it away and throw a game, and he's just going to throw his whole sport and his school and himself into a hole. And I think we're asking for it when so many things about the sport are about how much money we make on gaming. I think we're going to pay a price, and that price is going to be some sort of a scandal, and that scandal will make people really shocked, but they shouldn't be because I just kind of think it's inevitable.
Well, and
Any,
when
I
you're talking,
Go ahead.
oh, when you were talking too about the absolute money factor and what kids are exposed to and what they see and all that kind of thing, maybe one of the whole sponsorship agreements would be, we're going to take care of the athletes, but then the venue or the entity, whether it be the NCAA or the NFL or Major League Baseball or something like that, because they are selling the naming rights to every single facility in the whole world. I mean, we see that in Sioux Falls. Uh, so, what responsibility does the league have, whatever league that would be, to not continually take and take and take and take? Because um, if you want to go to the Super Bowl, I mean, what was the cheapest ticket? $7,000, which
Yeah.
there
In
were so
fact, in
many
fact,
corporate.
let's pull up that graphic, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that a little bit. You're pixelating a little bit, Dwayne. So I want to pull up the sports graphic and see. We're going to talk about first professional sports. Okay. So we're waiting for Dwayne's pixel. Okay, you look pretty good now, Dwayne. Okay, let's talk about this professional sports. We were talking about college, and then you moved to professional, and I wanted to do that. Is there a problem? So when I was a young man, I remember Pete Rose, the guy, yeah, Pete Rose. He had just signed a 5 year commitment. I think it was to the Phillies. Am I right about that? Anyway, he
Phillies are
signed
the
a
Reds.
contract and it was a player manager, and it was 3.5 years. No, it was 5 years for $3.5 million, and it showed him stealing base, grabbing onto a big stack of money. And you think, what in the world? That's a lot of money. Well, now, I mean, that's absolute peanuts. Now they talk about players getting, 40, 50 million, 30 million, 20 million, long contracts. And it I can't, not only can I not afford to go to many games, not that I have a lot of interest, I would be interested in watching some of those games or listening to some of those games. But now I can't even do that because I can't afford the multiple subscriptions that you need to have for these various streaming services. Even the audio is getting to be harder to come by and more expensive.
And I think that's part of the whole problem is they say, well, we're still selling out the seats and we're still doing this, we're still doing that. But when you look at some of the, I don't want to say minor market teams, but some of the teams that haven't performed well over the years, and you start looking at the empty seats, because in baseball they generally pan through the stadium once in a while, and when everything from first and third base all the way around and back is pretty much empty, there's got to be a reason. I mean, if it's summertime and it's nice and you like baseball, you should be there, but not when it's going to cost you $75 a ticket. So then you got your wife and two little kids, and then you're going to feed them $14 hot dogs, and you might have a couple of $12 or $16 beers. And all of a sudden, by the time you pay for parking, which they're probably going to charge you that for, and you have your ice cream and you buy your pendant and your T-shirt and your batting helmet, and you just liquidated $450 or $500 for one evening of
And
baseball, it shouldn't have to ask why nobody's going anymore.
well, and especially since when you look at sports, is probably the only thing I can think of where 80% of the entertainment value, 80% of whether you enjoyed the event or not, is whether your team won. Okay. So if your team loses, all of a sudden you're asking, was it worth that dollar amount? And you're going to say no. Now, there are some sports, and you brought up baseball, great example. They don't seem to have any sort of way to spread out the wealth. So it looks like two teams. If you are a fan of, I would say, the Yankees and the Dodgers, there's a pretty good chance that when you go to the game, it'll be expensive, but you're probably going to walk away winning. If you're any of the other teams, you have to make this agreement. Well, the Dodgers are coming to town. Why don't I drive to my local stadium and watch my team lose to the mighty Dodgers? Well, I mean, I, I I will say one thing about NFL football is they work very, very hard to make it parity. So you've got a chance every year. The top goes to the bottom and the bottom goes to the top. So no matter how poor your team did last year, there's hope this year. And I don't think you can say that about baseball. I just don't.
No.
And I don't think you can even, maybe basketball is changing a little bit, but it's well. The reason I wanted to have this conversation is I wanted to have the conversation. I feel, Dwayne, that I wish people didn't argue so much. I mean, it was just us kicking around a problem. Sometimes you think you can solve the world's problems. I don't think we did, but I think if more people had these kinds of conversations on anything, there would be more, more things happening. Right? It would be
Mm-hmm.
more positive. It wouldn't be just arguing for arguing's sake.
Well,
Well,
back about 30 years ago, my dad was retired, and so my mom famously said, "I married you for better or worse, but not for lunch. Get out of my house. Come back about 6." So the next easiest target was me, and so he used to come out and sometimes he'd stop by the bakery and buy some 2 or 3 day old donuts and come out and treat the fellas for for a donut. And then I had one client one time, we were remodeling the kitchen, putting an addition on, and it was just him and I there. And he would come home and he said, "Have you guys been arguing all day long?" No. I said, "We don't argue." He goes, "Well, I can hear you talking. You know, it's in the summertime. I can hear you talking when I walk up the sidewalk." That's not arguing. That is a spirited, slightly highly audible discussion that lasts for 8 or 9, maybe 10 hours,
Oh my.
because he knew what he knew. And whenever I'd test him on that, I'd say, "Who told you that?" "Oh, this guy I know. What's his name?" And that would go on for an hour. "Well, I don't remember, but he told me that." That doesn't make it fact. But it was highly entertaining. It was highly engaging when it's hot and sweaty in the summertime. It gives you something to think about other than the work that you're doing that may not be the most enjoyable for the day. And that's the way. We never really disagreed. We just never really agreed. But nobody got mad. Nobody took their bat and ball, went home, and we just pick it up the next day whenever he showed up. And I always thought
Well,
that's the way life and interaction ought
well,
to be.
well, if you can get that done without getting angry, God bless you. I've never. That's a hard thing to witness. Usually, what I see is some of the people getting angry, and the other person's secretly happy with that because they got him. They found that soft spot, and they kind of snuck one in there. Hmm. Okay, let's move on, shall we? That's it for chapter one. Time for chapter two. This is where we shamelessly plug our 24/7 segment. This is where every single day for 2 minutes and 47 seconds. Why 2:47? Because I'm available for you, America, 24/7. So for 2 minutes and 47 seconds every single day, 7 days a week, I take clips from things. And we also do interviews. And those launch every Thursday at noon. And today, I want to give a quick plug for Sandra D. Robinson. Sandra D. Robinson did a lot of things. You probably recognize her. She was in a lot of soap operas. She does interesting work with horses. I'd never heard of this before. It's fascinating. And I just want you to both like and subscribe the show. Tell everybody about 24/7 and watch this interview with Sandra D. I think you'll really like it. You're a person who has been on the edges, in the middle of, surrounded by um, fame,
Mm.
the power of fame, the adoration of the crowd. They're like, wow. And they know you and they want to be close to you because you're not just Sandra D. Robinson. You're Sandra D. Robinson. I've seen you on this particular show, or I've watched you on television, right? So that's both very, very enticing and also a little risky and maybe a little dangerous. Can you talk about your experiences with that?
Yeah. I think one of the things that I learned from that experience, if somebody says, "What's a bit of advice you would give?" And I learned really quickly, never believe what other people say about you, whether it's good or bad. Because if it's not God's voice and it's not your intuitive voice, it doesn't belong to you. So that goes for people that say, "Oh my gosh, you can't do anything wrong," to the people that say, "You're fat, you're this, you're that." Because when you have that platform of visibility, that's going to come. And now we see it in social media, even for kids that are in school. And the bullying is now different than it was when I was in school. But it's still other people's opinion of you. And yes, it is intriguing. And it was fun in some circumstances, for sure, because they would be so in love with the show, the character that I was playing, that it was interesting to see that made them happy to see me and the other cast members and to go to those events. What was scary about it was, yeah, I had, at one point I had somebody waiting outside my house, for many days, and I'd have people follow me home. And I was very afraid of people. I was afraid of touch in the beginning. I didn't grow up in a family that hugged. And so literally I was afraid of touch. So that's something that I also think that working with the horses has helped me a ton with, to be able to understand that, because a lot of horses don't like touch. To them, it's work. They haven't been treated well. And so it's so interesting that life can come back around again, and I can actually help people by understanding what it's like to go through this myself as I'm watching the horses go through it. But one of the interesting things about meeting the fans, especially when I was on the soaps, because soap opera actors, and I know there's still some out there, not as many as there used to be, soaps, but we're in the living room every single day. We're with somebody every single day. And so they have a sense of really knowing us, as opposed to a film star, which sometimes people may hang a little bit back from. We would have people come up and just want to touch and hug. And it was a point of frustration and fear for me in the beginning, until somebody said, "Oh, sweetie," and it's the simplest thing on the planet. She said, "Just say, 'Hi, how are you?' as they walk up and put your hand out to shake it."
So
They're
you
not
shake
going to hug you if your hand's out there.
Sure, just run. Okay, nice.
How
You know,
simple is that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I still think of the day she told me that, I felt like a knucklehead, but I was like, oh my gosh, you just saved me.
Genius idea. Did you watch soaps as a kid? Maybe you still do.
Interesting that you say that. We used to plan our lunchtime to make sure that we took a break at 12:30, because we can get weather on our phone, but you can't watch The Bold and the Beautiful unless you tune in at 12:30. And then, I don't know, somebody said something about it one day, and there was a plumber that said, "Do you watch that show?" And I said, "Well, yeah, occasionally when I get a chance." And he said, "Do you remember that one day?" And I said, "Yeah, but you only got to watch it every 3 or 4 weeks to catch up on what's going on and who's married to who and all the other things that happen in there." But today I actually caught the first edition of The Bold and the Beautiful, because I happened to be here in the office. So I got to watch it while I was eating my lunch.
Do you recognize Sandra Dee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when we were kids, after lunch, everybody had to play outside, because that was my mom's time to sit in the kitchen with her little black and white TV and watch Days of Our Lives and General Hospital and The Bold and the Beautiful. And
she was on one of those.
Yeah.
Okay. Who was she?
I don't remember. That's back when I was a lot younger and probably should have been paying attention to other things rather than that.
She's she's not old by any stretch, I wouldn't say. So I just thought it would be, we're not talking like, was she with Victor? Victor.
Everybody was.
Everybody was with Victor. All righty. Well, that's Sandra Dee Robinson. It was a great interview. We do it every Thursday. You can catch all of that. And if you were looking to know about how she works with horses, it's fascinating. And it's a great interview, and that'll be coming up on Thursday. And then we'll archive that. We keep all of this stuff at the website, ilikethatstory.com. And we also have that streaming constantly on the Nichecast, which is available on Live 365. That's a radio show. That's 280 songs and a story, 280 songs and an interview, 280 songs and a contest. So if you like 80s music, and who doesn't, and you like good conversation, and who doesn't, that's the story. That's the Nichecast. I Like That Story. Okay, that's it. That's enough of the shameless plug. Let's get to that's at the end of chapter 2. It's now time for chapter 3. Yes, we call this Sheep Tank. Because unlike Shark Tank, where rabid investors will rip your body to shreds to get one nickel of profit, our job here today is to lay down like lambs to slaughter. And you can eviscerate us taking all of our genius ideas. We freely give them to you. Our purpose on Sheep Tank is to make America wealthier, and we're starting with you. Each of these genius ideas are for you to capitalize on. Now, if you take any of these ideas, you're under no obligation to even mention us. It would be nice if you say, "Thanks, Dwayne. Thanks, Jeff," at the bottom. If you make your first billion, if you write a check for 20 grand, I really would appreciate it, because although I don't want to be wealthy, I could use 20 grand. Okay. Are you ready? Here are our genius ideas. Booker, what's our first one? I think one of these is yours, Dwayne. Okay, this is mine. This is mine. This comes from the guys who are building a construction project next door with the beep, 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 beep. Anytime any of those machines move or extend, they make a constant beeping sound, and the beeping sound does not have to match the other vehicle's beeping sound. In fact, they usually don't. And then they have this interesting harmony, which is not harmonious. So, my genius ideas is the get the beep out of here hard hat. That's right, the get the beep out of here hard hat. This is a hard hat worn by the individual worker. Nobody in the neighborhood has to know that that worker is in danger of getting run over. Only that worker has to know. So he puts on the hard hat, and all of a sudden, it could be a klaxon, it could be Siri saying, "Hey, careful, careful, Dwayne. There's a front end loader coming your way." Oh, okay, all right, right. And similarly, the get the beep out of your hard hat can be worn by the guy on the piece of equipment, so he doesn't accidentally mash you and have to go through some sort of lawsuit. So he also agreed, look out, Jim. You're going to hit that guy. It's called the get the beep out of here hard hat. And as you can see on our graphic here, look at how pleased the neighbors are. Look at how you can go about your business and nobody has to know what your business is because it's quiet. Okay. That's our idea number one. The next sheep tank idea, Dwayne, I think is yours. Let's go to it. Booker. Ah, yes. Remember this?
Mm-hmm.
We call this the spin focus bifocals. Now, how many times do we know anybody who wears glasses, corrective vision, and by the way, that's going to be you if you're over the age of about 45. You're going to start needing these. Well, we are traditionally wearing those for reading. And so we put the near vision at the bottom and the far vision at the top. But what if you're at a construction site and you got to do some wiring and it's up above? Well, if you're what most people do, you take your glasses off and then you look above the rim, which makes it, OSHA doesn't like that. It's not very safe. And you still can't see very well because you're getting old. So we have this, see that central pivot there? You just take it like so and just go, boop, and it flips over and it catches on it's magnetized, right? So it clicks over, right? Genius idea. So it's upside down bifocals, propeller style rotation, instant focus switch. So you're at the job site, you just go click, 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 and look at, by the way, congratulations to Booker. That is one fashionable pair of specs, is it not?
Good job.
Any other comments on these genius ideas, Dwayne?
Well, as opposed to last week, when I didn't like either one of them, I love both of these.
Yeah.
Because I've been saying, for years and years, because I don't know if it's unique vision, but if I wear contacts, I can see forever and ever and ever. But then I need reading glasses. But if I wear glasses, I can see forever and ever. And when I want to read, I just take them off. So I don't need bifocals in regular glasses. So from the whole safety glass point of view, most of the time when I wear them, they're not a problem because you're working, either at waist level or chest high and down. But when you start working on the cabinet trim, the crown molding, the window trim, that kind of thing, I turn them over. Well, the safety factor then is slightly below zero, plus the fact that every time you turn your head, you lift your head back, they fall off. So
yeah, literally, you're wearing your glasses. You're wearing your glasses upside down like this, which is they don't stay that way.
No.
Anyway, yeah.
So that's why. I've been talking about this for years and nobody's ever picked up on it and started sending royalty checks.
I find it interesting that you bring it up for years and nothing happens. You mention it once on this show.
I know.
And within a week, we've got action. We've got the display where people are starting to figure it out. Now, remember, all Dwayne wants to do is to be able to buy these because he would like to have these in his arsenal.
I don't want anything for it. I just want a pair of glasses.
Correct. Now remember, if you do take this and it does work, thanks Dwayne, and maybe put Bickett on the side of I don't care. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
And remember now, it's not about the money, but if you do get money, 20 grand to Dwayne Bickett. Thanks for the idea. We appreciate it. And you as viewers now, you get to vote on this. We'll get to that at the end of the show. But first, that's the end of chapter 3. Now we move on to chapter 4. This is the entertainment part of the program where we pull up movie trailers. And I'm going to pull up this is one from 2012. It is an excellent movie. And if you've not seen this movie, I'm going to warning, it is a hard R. But it's such a good movie with so many teaching elements to it. Let's play it. And the movie is called Flight.
Good morning, Trina.
Good morning, Captain Whitaker.
Here's your manifest with 102 souls on board.
Let's get them tucked in. We're ready to push. How you feeling, Whip? Look like you pulled some kind of move up there, man. You saved a lot of lives.
We are in a dive.
I have no control on my side.
We going down?
Everybody in brace positions.
The way you landed that plane was nothing short of a miracle.
I see nothing but houses.
Evan, listen to me. Trim us nose down.
The plane fell apart at 30,000 feet.
We're gonna roll it.
What do you mean roll it?
Ready? Here we go.
I'm on the list, baby girl. There's all kinds of crazy news people out here. You're a rock star, man. You will never pay for another drink as long as you live.
Captain Whitaker is a real American hero.
This is Hugh Lang. He's an attorney from Chicago. Why do we need a lawyer?
You don't remember having your blood drawn the night of the crash? You had alcohol in your system. That could be life in prison.
The NTSB hearings in 10 days.
Captain Whitaker!
You're under the microscope right now.
Are you hiding something?
You gonna shoot me? Can I come inside?
Yeah, come on inside. I'll shoot you inside.
This was an act of God.
Those God would do this.
Our investigators concluded the aircraft failed.
The FAA placed 10 pilots in simulators, recreated the events. Every pilot killed everybody on board. You were the only one who could do it.
You saved my mom. I want to talk about the days leading up to the accident.
This thing is so heavy it's killed me.
I drank the night before the flight.
Does Whitaker know he's going to jail? My clients didn't go to jail.
It's alive. It's alive.
I'm trying to save your life.
What life?
We're gonna stop power!
Wait for impact. No one could have landed that plane like I did.
Did you see that movie, Dwayne?
No, and I don't know how I would have missed that. I don't miss any Denzel Washington movies.
Yeah, it was
But I
absolutely
want to watch the
fascinating.
rest of it now. We'll go back to it.
Yeah. Well, so here's the reason why it's such an excellent movie. And watch for the themes. And the themes are about, good and evil, right and wrong. Because what we get from the trailer, I won't give anything away, is that Denzel Washington did save all of those people. And he was drunk when he did it. And so we have the pilots union on one side. They don't want any of that out because that will hurt them. Now, the people who made the plane, they want that out because they don't want to have to pay for the plane. And the airline, they want it out because they don't want to have to pay for the plane. And people start to sue other people for it, and everybody's trying to point fingers in the other direction. In the meantime, there he is caught in the middle. And the question is, does he live with the lie that he was not drinking and then do well, but will that crush him? And you see in the movie all kinds of symbolism, like when the plane crashes, it goes through a church steeple. There's all kinds of people praying in this movie, outside or out loud, or not in a traditional kind of prayer way, but there's a lot of symbolism that way. And there's a lot of, like the John Goodman character when he walks in, they're playing the Stones' Requiem for the Devil, right? So there's all kinds of symbolism. It's really great, but it's also hard R. So you could easily show this at any men's group, any Bible study, except the fact that it's too much. It's too much. So it's an R-rated movie. I do give it 2 thumbs up. It's really great. It's worth a watch, and that is our movie of the week. Now, that's chapter 4. We now move on to chapter 5. This is Beckett's Bailiwick, and this is something we're having fun with because we happen to know Booker, who is tremendous at using AI. And so this is, Dwayne, this is your challenge. We're going to be releasing a movie called Beckett. That's the name of the movie, Beckett. And you get to answer the question. Is it a film noir? In that movie, it's set in the 1930s Los Angeles. Listen to the description. Beckett is an ex-cop and a private eye. He's asked to watch over the construction of a schwanky hotel for a sultry socialite. But corrupt boss leaders, union members, and city hall insiders are looking for a scapegoat on this over-budget white elephant. Beckett must use all of his construction savvy and hard knuckles to fight his way out of a rigged system. Okay, that's Beckett film noir. Okay, we have Beckett the action movie. Beckett is a no-nonsense construction foreman in Chicago. When a crime syndicate suggests that he cut corners using Beckett's kidnapped family as leverage, with no way out, Beckett must go back to his secret past and unleash some skills that no mob could be prepared for. Or is it a romantic comedy? Beckett is asked to remodel a resort home for 3 single sisters who fall for his rugged good looks and witty repartee. You must select the movie and the 4 actors and actresses that star in the movie. Okay, so select the genre. You need to pick who's gonna play you, and then the other remaining actors and actresses in the movie. All righty?
Easy one.
Easy. Let's
Number
go.
3. I only need 3 actresses because I'm playing myself. The 3 actors. It's the 3 actresses. I'm getting so excited to talk about this. I've been thinking
wait
about
a
it
minute.
all day.
You can't portray yourself in the movie. Okay, go ahead. Here we go.
Okay, if it's not me, then it's got to be, because of the resemblance and the name, it's got to be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Just because of the physical appearance.
Sure, absolutely.
Except I don't have that kind of tattoos. But anyway,
right.
The 3 actresses. Number 1, Jennifer Lawrence, because she's hilarious. She's fairly klutzy.
Oh, yeah.
In a remodeling project, you need somebody that's klutzy.
Okay.
The second one is Stephanie Abrams, who is one of the meteorologists that I watch in the morning on the Weather Channel, because she's very knowledgeable. She could talk about the weather and when the roof comes off and how the other things, and she's pretty funny too. And the third one is the really cute, dark-haired girl with dimples that's already on the Hallmark Channel, because I guarantee this film will go directly to Hallmark.
Okay.
And the reason I know that is because just the setup of this. Small town, 3 single sisters. It might have been a resort. It could have been a bed and breakfast, but it probably belonged to their grandmother, who over the years couldn't take care of it. It fell into a little bit of disrepair. These 3 come, one's from New York City, one's from San Francisco, and the other one probably lives somewhere in Atlanta. So they all come together, and they happen upon this local, devastatingly handsome, rugged individual who has the innate ability to fix, build, and remodel anything put in front of him. And then, as you can imagine, if you've ever watched a Hallmark show, First day he drives up, it would be an older 1978 Ford pickup, probably with a dog that's very friendly, like a lab or a collie or something like that.
It is
And then
unbelievable. You
nothing
have done,
but
you
nothing
have
but
done your
mayhem.
homework on this.
Yes. Nothing but
didn't-
mayhem and entertainment will ensue because
Who's the girl with who's the dark hair with the dimples? Who's this? Do we know?
I don't know what her name is. But, because
Okay,
in
so-
the wintertime, when you get to Saturday night in the wintertime, there is nothing to watch on TV. 150 channels and nothing on. So if you watch the Hallmark Channel, there's always a show about the local handy guy that comes to help the girl from New York City who's got a boyfriend. He's not a very nice guy. He comes in, saves the day because there's usually a fall festival or the winter carnival or something like that that is deeply in jeopardy if this project cannot be resurrected. He comes in, he probably lives in a little farmhouse with his dog. The dog ends up being fully attracted to the young lady's dog, which in this case would be the three sisters.
Now, hold. Okay. I sent, honestly, viewers, I sent this out about 4 hours ago. I sent this out this afternoon. Dwayne has gone off the deep end. Do you have a wacky sidekick, by the way? Have you figured out your guy sidekick? Who's going to be the other part of this? Do you have anybody else?
Well, no, because you don't need that because the three lovely sisters.
What about the jealous boyfriend, some uptight guy that you don't get along with? Who's that going to be? Is it?
Well, because the uptight boyfriends times three
there it is.
Show up.
Taylor Cole.
That's
is
her.
That who,
yeah. That's
unbelievable.
Her. Yeah, that's
Taylor
her.
Cole. Okay, now don't give it away, but kind of give it away. Who does your character settle down with? Is it going to be Jennifer Lawrence, Stephanie Abrams from the Weather Channel? What the heck? Or is it going to be, who is this last gal? Yeah. Who's it going to be?
Who said there's going to be a choice?
Oh my goodness gracious! All right. By the way,
this is a big place. This is a large bed and breakfast.
There's three. There's movie 1, 2, and 3 is what it is, and there's the movie channel. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
all
there's
right.
Stephanie right
and
there.
you notice what Dwayne did right away. He picked a blonde, a brunette, and a redhead, didn't he? He did. They got to go. They got to go there. Okay. Just for fun, Booker, did you pull up the movie posters for the other ones? I just want to see what you came up with.
I've got to get a new hat.
This is you in the film noir, right? Look at that. Look at this Chicago. Look at these guys in the background. Nice 1930s Bickets. All right, and now do the action one if you can. I just want to see what he's going to look like. Oh my goodness. Oh my
Very
goodness.
Rambo-ish.
Yes, look at that. I don't know what that's a handgun of some kind. And look at the mobsters, and you got helicopters, you got a city on fire. Oh my goodness. Wouldn't it be great if you could, and you should talk to Booker, have these printed as movie posters and put around your place? Wouldn't that be that would be absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Well, that's it. That's it. We got to move on to our final one here. Okay. We've got way too much information from Dwayne on that. So we are done with chapter 5. We go to chapter 6. Chapter 6 is the mailbag. This is from Chad B., who says, I heard Val Kilmer is starring in a movie with his family's permission, all generated by AI. What do you think? Have you heard this? So Val Kilmer passed away about a year and some change ago, and he had already been contracted to be in a movie, and then he died. And the movie said, well, let's do it anyway. And so somehow, and we'll have to see, they're going to generate him in the movie. And I don't know how it's going to turn out, but here's my question. Theoretically, then, the family of, Charlie Chaplin could say, okay, you can use this guy and you can generate that and we'll take. So I imagine there's many different family estates who'd be happy to take your money if you were to do an AI generated person and put them in a movie. Brings up some really interesting, ethical, artistic, you know, uh, interesting questions. Can AI act as well as Val Kilmer? I am suspicious. I'm skeptical. Dwayne?
Well, if you don't pay real close attention, and maybe AI is going to get terrifically better. I don't know if that's the right phrase, but to where the sound of the voice matches the lips, where
Listen to this. It's the movie I didn't know the name of the movie.
oh,
Resurrected by AR to star as deep as the grave. Oh my. Oh my. That's a little close. Okay.
but
Continue, please.
I don't I don't think that we want to give up our whole entire world to AI. And then when you were talking about, monetizing it to the families and all that, that'd be great. But I'm going to go back with a shameless plug. And for a lot less cost, you just find me a small town that's got a bed and breakfast that needs renovating. I'll make you a series for way
I
less than
see.
that.
It's quite possible. We know that because YouTube is the largest television medium, that there is somebody right now who's scouting for talent to do some sort of an HGTV renovation thing. And they like your wits. They like your savvy good looks. They like that. And they have they've been talking. There's three sisters. One's a redhead, one's a blonde, one's a brunette. But their local talent is lacking, and they see this and they like this. There's also a chance that somebody's saying, "You know who we miss? We miss Charles Kuralt. We miss Walter Cronkite. We miss Andy Rooney. We miss Charles Osgood. This guy in the suit. What if we hired America's storyteller? What if we did that?" Well, I want you to know, America, that if that's you, remember, we are available to help you in any way that we can. Oh my goodness, we're past an hour. We're not on a clock, we're not on the network, so we can end it any time we want. But I feel like this is a good way to end the show. Dwayne, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you. Any final comments before we let you go?
Just keep those cards and letters coming in.
All right. God bless.